Did you know that as of 2020, only 22% of Americans own firearms? And of that 22%, they owned 393 million firearms total? Well, now you do. Today, I want to talk a little bit about gun culture and some common misconceptions about firearms in America. I'm going to talk about some statistics about gun violence, why firearms are seen as evil in the eyes of so many Americans, and the significance of the Second Amendment. So, jumping right into some statistics. In 2020, firearms killed 45,222 people in America. Also in 2020, firearms surpassed vehicle-related deaths as the number one cause of death in children under the age of 19, increasing from 30% from the previous year. Now, these numbers are going to sound like a lot, and they really are, but that includes pretty much any way someone could be killed any way someone could be killed by a firearm. So that's suicide, homicide, accidental deaths, legal intervention, etc. And I say this because the majority of those deaths are suicide or accidental, while homicide is also a pretty big contributor to the number. The biggest one was suicide. So do we have a gun violence issue in America? Yes, but the bigger issue is suicide. If we addressed suicide a little bit better, that would cut the numbers more than in half. Now, 45,222 people sounds like a lot, but the leading cause of death in America as of 2020 was heart disease and cancer, killing 696,000 and 602,000 people, respectively. Accidental death is another big one. If we educated more people or took them more seriously, took firearms more seriously, and people passed on the knowledge, that would also cut the numbers a lot. Kids getting a hold of guns when they shouldn't, improperly storing them, and suicide via firearm are huge contributors to these numbers. If we address these issues firsthand, we would see a lot less firearm or gun violence in America. And on the other end, homicide. It's the sad truth about America and the rest of the world is there are bad people. People are going to commit crimes if they want to. Yeah, we can try to stop them, but criminals will find a way to get their hands on firearms. And if they can't get their hands on firearms, they're going to find another way to do what they want to do. Look at the UK, for example. Knife deaths are a huge problem. Yeah, they don't have any, they have very few gun-related deaths, but criminals will be criminals. They're going to hurt people if they want to. Me personally, I would like the ability to protect myself, and a great way to protect yourself is via a firearm. I have my concealed carry permit. I don't worry a whole lot about being a victim because I have the ability to protect myself. If we spread the knowledge and stopped this stigma about guns being scary or killing machines, I think a lot more people would feel safe around firearms. But that's enough about statistics for now. Moving on to why so many people see guns as evil. Many Americans don't like the idea of owning a firearm because they appear to be dangerous, and if used improperly, they are. But like I said, if we taught everybody, or not everybody, but if we informed everybody of the truth about firearms, they aren't dangerous if used properly. A lot of people don't see the need for one, which I totally understand. Not everybody needs a firearm to feel safe. And a lot of people believe that their sole purpose is killing. Well, a lot of people use firearms for sporting, target practice, all kinds of stuff. I was in the military for 5 years. I did a lot of shooting. I like to maintain my skills. I like to stay proficient. Honestly, I can't tell you the last time I've killed anything. Yeah, I hunt. I have killed animals before, but as like killing machines, then that's a huge misconception about firearms. A lot of people have never used a firearm before. They hear this thing going off, and they are loud. That's going to scare people. If they're not familiar with it and they've never done it before, I would probably be scared too. Yeah, a lot of people form their opinions on the matter based on movies, TV shows, or what the media tells them. It's no secret that the mainstream media is very, very anti-gun, whether that's for political advantage or whatever, or maybe they are actually worried, who knows? That's a video for another time. But a lot of people don't do the research on their own. Someone tells them something on TV, that's what they believe. So when you hear someone on the news saying, "Oh, we need to ban this so and so gun because look at how dangerous it is," I mean, the majority of the time they're not telling the truth. They are probably using that for a political advantage or to sway the opinions of the masses. But like I said, that's a video for another time. Anyways, moving on to the importance of the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment states, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. What does that mean? At the very least, that gives the people the ability to protect themselves from anything, whether that be a tyrannical government like what started the Revolutionary War. The colonists were being abused by Great Britain to the point where they felt that they needed to defend themselves and not rise up, but fight back and fight for what they believed in. And that is why we have America today. Now, I'm not saying that's an issue today. I don't think that we need another civil war because that's probably the worst thing that we could possibly imagine. But it allows people to protect themselves if absolutely needed, which is good. Now, as for the ability to own a firearm and whether or not you think everybody should or shouldn't, let's take a look at Iceland, for example. Iceland is deemed the safest country in the world. And in Iceland, 33% of the population owns at least one firearm, compared to America's 22%, like I stated earlier. What does that mean? Well, Iceland hasn't had a gun-related death or homicide since 2007, but they have so many firearms. How does that work? Well, they have a very good educational system about it, and they have a pretty good gun control system set up. I'm not an expert on rules about firearms in Iceland, but from my understanding, you have to have basically a firearms license, which you take a test, you take these courses, and once they deem you are knowledgeable on the subject enough, they will issue you your license. Background checks is huge. They pretty much have one of the best systems in the world as for gun control or safe gun ownership. Why don't we model our system after that? That is a great question. I couldn't give you an answer to it, but I think we should probably take some notes on that because, like I said before, gun violence is a huge problem in America. But like I also stated, criminals will be criminals, and there's nothing you can do about that. There's 393 million legal firearms in America. That doesn't you can't even guess how many illegal firearms there are here. As for trying to ban firearms from everybody, take everybody's guns away, I just don't think that's possible, whether we should or shouldn't. It's just not possible. There's too many. It would never happen. But I mean, I think we do need to take a look at some of these other countries. For Iceland, for example, they're obviously doing it right. They're responsible about it, and they have a very low crime rate. Anyways, that pretty much covers all my topics in this video. I brought up some statistics. I mean, why people see firearms as evil and what we could do about that. I mean, we need to educate. Education is huge, and I think more people should be aware of the pros and cons of firearms, um, and the importance of the Second Amendment. I think the ability to defend oneself is huge, and that's pretty much all there is to it. Um, a good reason to remember this information is, I mean, the moral of the story is when used properly and safely, firearms can be a great way to protect yourself. Now, I'm not saying everybody should own one. Some people don't want to, and that's your right. You don't have to. But I think everybody should at least be educated on the subject. Anyways, thank you guys for your time and have a good night.